Hello, welcome to yoga class. Today's class is all about inversions. Yoga inversions is what we will practice today. Inversions are positions where the heart is placed higher than the head. So this could be something like a headstand or a handstand. Now those are more intermediate advanced options. We're going to start with some gentle options because there are less complicated poses such as legs up the wall or downward facing dog. Now, inversions have lots and lots of benefits. One that I speak about a lot is clarity. Most of us have so much in our heads all day long. We're constantly thinking, we're analyzing, we're looping. And so when we go upside down, then we can start to let these things go because we're so present in what we're doing that those things just can't come in. We're thinking about our breath, we're thinking about our positioning. So it's a really nice way to get clarity and just kind of leave everything else out of the practice for that time. Now, there are lots of other benefits. Research says that inversions are really beneficial to reverse the aging process. Also, eliminating toxins, boosting positive energy and immunity, increased flow of oxygenated blood to the brain. Inversions work as a natural antidepressant. They stimulate the nervous system, calm the mind, improve circulation, strengthen the back and core abdominal muscles, and improves posture and overall balance. So we've got so many great benefits to inversions rather than thinking of the more advanced ones like handstand or headstand or forearm stand and getting a little fear wrapped around those. Let's start off with some gentle, attainable ones, and then after we move through the more gentle ones, I'll talk about some more intermediate and advanced ones if you decide to continue on in your practice of going upside down. So today we're going to start our first yoga inversion by coming into downward facing dog. To come into downward facing dog, I suggest starting in a tabletop position. So bring your wrist under your shoulders. Look at your hands. Make sure you're spreading your fingers wide. Position your knees underneath your hips and see if you can get the inner elbows to point towards each other. So this is our tabletop. If we feel that we want to move the spine, we can move through extension and flexion by lowering the belly and then lifting the back. This is a really great way to start if you haven't had much movement today, if you want to honor your spine. So maybe just take a few cat-cow movements. Inhale, belly softens. Exhale, lift the back. Back to a neutral spine. Now look at your hands. Walk your hands one hand placement in front. Curl your toes. Now pressing palms to the mat as if you're pushing the mat away. Lift your hips way up high and then press them back. Keep the knees bent for now. Especially if this is your first down dog of the day, the hamstrings might be tight. Now, if your hamstrings are more open, you might be able to straighten your legs. So your body is positioned like an upside down V. Ears are between the biceps. Send the chest towards the thighs, taking pressure out of the shoulders. And then in your down dog, let's take some variations. Maybe you bend one knee at a time. As one knee bends, opposite leg straightens. Continuing to move from side to side, opening up the legs, releasing tension. Or maybe you decide to rock the hips from side to side. Now, once you find stillness, slowly walk your feet towards your hands. So the feet are coming to the top of the mat. Take your time to get there. There's no rush. Now, once the feet come towards the hands, bring your palms to your shins Take a half lift. Notice how this feels for the hamstrings, the back of the thighs. And on your next exhale breath, let the arms go. Fold, hinging at the hips, come into forward fold. Again, the knees can bend if the hamstrings are tight. Release the head and the neck, positioning the top of the head down towards the mat. Now, arms can dangle, or you can take your hands to opposite elbows, framing your head with your arms. Feel a nice stretch in the back space. This is my favorite inversion to do when I get out of bed in the morning. It feels so great for my back. Stretching the whole back of the body. Now, because this inversion is very accessible to a lot of people, we're going to take some variations so that you can spend time in this shape and have some different options. So let's release the arms. Bring them down towards the ground. Now, note if your palms meet the mat or your fingertips. If your fingertips or palms don't meet the mat, then you can invite a block underneath the hands so that you can make that connection. So the block is bringing the floor up to you. So just know that you have that if you need the support. Now look at your feet. Heel toe the feet closer together. Bring the big toes together, little space at the heels. Start with your hands in front of your feet. Now bend your left knee. As you bend your left knee, walk your hands to the outside of your left foot, rotating your torso over to the left. Now remember, if your palms or fingertips don't touch the mat, that's all right. You can bring a block to give you that height. And the block has 3 different levels. So bring that prop in if you need. Now with the torso to the left and the left knee bent, press the right foot into the mat. Straighten the right leg. Feel a nice stretch going up the right leg into the right hip. Slowly bring your hands in front of your feet. And now walk the hands to the outside of the right foot. Take a bend in the right knee. Straighten the left leg. So if you're working with a block, you're going to want to take the block with you over to the right. Deep bend in the right knee. Left leg is straight. Bring awareness to the sensation that you're feeling on the left side. See if you can lengthen your breath. Inhale to the top of the breath. Exhale, release slowly. Walk your hands back to the front of the feet. Inhale, take a half lift. Bring your palms to your shins. Reach the crown of your head forward. Reach your tailbone back. And then exhale, fold. Let the hands come down towards the feet. Bend your knees. Now slowly start to roll up to standing. Take about 3 rounds of breath to slowly rise up. Press your feet to the mat. Let your head come up last. Remember, take your time. Now, as you make your way to the standing position, once you get there, bring your arms to your sides. Take a micro bend in the knees and pull the belly button towards the spine. Feel your feet connected, rooted down, and feel the crown of your head rising up. Palms are facing forward. If it's comfortable for you to have your feet together, you can leave them that way. Or you can open the feet a little wider so that you're bringing your feet to hip distance. And then simply rock forward towards the toes and then back towards the heels. Just really feeling that foundation at the soles of the feet. Lift the toes, spread the toes, and place them down one by one. So this is our mountain pose, our standing posture. From our mountain pose, let's just relax the shoulders a little bit since they were supporting us in our downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, take the shoulders back and down. 2 more. Inhale, lift the shoulders up. Exhale, back and down. 1 more. Inhale, lift them up. Exhale, back and down. Now take your hands to your hips. Step 1 foot back and then come into a wide-legged stance. So you might want to position yourself to stand so that you can face the screen to see in case you need any demonstrations. Now in the wide-legged stance, before we go any deeper, notice how your legs feel much wider than the hips. You want to be in a standing position where you feel in control. You also want to feel your legs activating. So if you don't feel very much at all, you can open the feet further apart. However, if the feet are far apart and you feel unstable, bring them closer together. Press to the pinky edges of the feet. Hands to the hips. Inhale, open the chest, send the shoulders and elbows back. Exhale, dive forward. Now, as you dive forward, notice how the stretch feels in the legs. Release your hands from your hips, bring your hands down to the mat. Take a moment to reposition the legs if you need to. And remember, if your hands don't come down to the mat, you can always place a block between the mat and your hands to get that height if you need. Now, the head is lower than the heart. We're in an inversion. Release the head and the neck. Shake the head from side to side. And then shake the head forward and back. Notice how it feels if you press your hips back a little bit. Keep pressing the pinky edges of the feet into the mat. Find your stability. If you feel quite comfortable here, you can take your hands to your ankles. And then you can pull your head towards your legs. This is just an option. If this is too much, you can take your hands back down to the mat. Just find what you need. Now, for those of you that would like to incorporate some shoulder stretching, you can lift your hands, bring your hands behind your low back, interlace your fingers, press your palms together. As you inhale, lift your fist up towards the ceiling. Feel a nice stretch in the shoulders. The more you lift your fist, the deeper you're going to feel the stretch, and the more you'll feel your head lowering down towards the mat. On your next exhale, lower the fist down, release the grip, take the hands down to the mat, support yourself, and then just rock the hips from side to side. Just a little gentle movement from side to side. Find your way back to center. Take your hands to your hips. As you inhale, lift the crown of your head up. Come back into a standing position. Now, heel toe the feet back towards each other. And then walk the feet back to the top of the mat. Bring the feet to hip distance. Get grounded. Inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Fold forward. Remember, for a less intense fold, you can maintain a half lift by taking blocks underneath your hands. Okay, so this might feel better for you. That's always an option if you prefer. Otherwise, come into the forward fold. Feel that stretch again in the back of the body. And then look at your feet. Heel toe your feet towards each other, so you're bringing your big toes together. A little space at the heels. Inhale, take a half lift. Exhale, fold. Look at your right foot. Lift your right foot and take your right ankle behind your left ankle. Shift over to the left. See if you can keep the legs straight. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. As you fold, focus on keeping the legs straight. Focus on planting the soles of the feet to the mat. It's a really great stretch for the legs and the hips. Continue to fold. On your next inhale, take a half lift. Exhale, walk the right foot over beside the left. Let the big toes meet. And forward fold. Full round of breath. Inhale, half lift. Lift the left foot. Exhale, cross the left ankle behind the right and fold. Reposition the hands to find your stability. Keep the legs straight. Feel the soles of the feet rooted down. As you keep the legs straight, feel a nice stretch. Going up into the hip. Inhale, take a half lift. Exhale, cross that left foot over beside the right and fold. Now see about straightening the legs. See if the hamstrings have opened up a little more. And then transition from your feet to your shins onto the mat. Once the shins are down, you can send the feet to one side, bringing them out to the side so that you can come onto your seat. At this point, we're going to do some more grounded inversions. So a really great prop that you might want to incorporate for this time is a folded up blanket. Now, the reason why you might want to bring a blanket into the practice is depending on how your neck feels. So the blanket underneath the neck and the head will feel more supportive. Now, you don't need to use this, but it is a really nice cushy option for the posture that we're going to come into next, which is shoulder stand. So positioning, if you think that you want the blanket, you're going to position it where your head and neck are going to go. You'll start by coming into a reclined position. So as you set up with the folded up blanket, what you want to do is get your shoulders right at the edge of the blanket so that you're feeling your neck and your head on the blanket, but the shoulders are actually on the mat. So the shoulders, the back, and the glutes, tailbone connected to the mat. So we're in a reclined position to start. Now from here, we're gonna bring our arms by our sides. Then we lift the feet up. From here, press the feet up to take your hands underneath your glutes. So the palms are connected to the glutes. Now press the feet up again. And as you do this, take the elbows to the mat, point the toes up. So we're coming into shoulder stand. You might even scooch the shoulders underneath the back. Now your gaze is going to be straight up. And then as you exhale, moving into another pose, take your legs overhead. Bend your knees and then roll out. Okay, so the second posture with the legs overhead, we're now going to try it without the blanket. So if any of you had the blanket underneath your head, let's try it again and see how it feels to have a little more space. So starting in the reclined position, back flat onto the mat. Take the palms under the glutes. Lift the legs up. Coming into plow pose, halasana. Press the feet up and then take the legs overhead. Now you can keep your hands supporting your low back. Or if you feel comfortable, you can let your hands ground down. Let the legs hover above the torso. And make sure that you're feeling the weight in the shoulders, not in the neck. If you're feeling weight in the neck, then you'll need to back out a little bit. Now you might be able to tap your toes to the ground behind you. If so, pay attention to the sensation in the shoulders and the neck. Now for me, in my body, I'm feeling some really nice flexion in the spine, decompressing. If you want to move on further, another great option is to bend the knees. So we're bringing the knees outside of the ears. That might be a fun shape to try, as long as you're honoring your neck. Careful not to place weight on your neck. And to move on even more, you can take your arms to the back of your knees. Remember, feeling weight in the shoulders, not the neck. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Now to slowly and gently come out, bend your knees, take your peace fingers, your index fingers and middle fingers to hook onto the big toes. And then slowly roll down one vertebra at a time. So you're moving slowly all the way until the tailbone connects down. Release the hands, bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet down to the mat. Now open the feet the width of the mat, bring the knees together. Take a few rounds of breath here. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Just giving yourself time to find a neutral spine. Grounding down into the mat. Now lift your feet, take your hands underneath your knees, rock up and down your spine, gain some momentum, come onto your seat. Now as you come onto your seat, know that we are going to move away from the free space up to a wall space for legs up the wall. You can move your mat, so you're going to bring one of the short ends of the mat up to the wall. Or you can position your blanket. So because I have my blanket handy, I'm going to scoot it right up to the wall, and I'm going to open mine up a little bit because that's going to be a little more level with the floor. Now to get into legs up the wall, what you want to do is bring one hip up to the wall. And as you bring your one hip up to the wall, come onto your forearms, swaying the legs up the wall, and try to get the glutes as close as possible. Now, once you've got your legs up the wall, inhale, point the toes, stretch the top of the feet, and then exhale, flex the feet. Inhale, point, exhale, flex. Inhale, point, exhale, flex. Now relax the feet, relax the arms. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Know that we'll be here for several rounds of breath in this gentle inversion. Completely letting the upper body relax down. And feeling the legs supported by the wall. This is a great time to focus on the breath. And simply starting by noticing how you're breathing. If the breath is short, take a deep inhale, inhaling to the top of the breath until you can't take in any more air. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. And again, inhale deeply. Now this time practice releasing the air slowly on the exhale. Continue to breathe in this way. Practice inhaling through the nostrils. Practice exhaling through the nostrils. As you continue this breath, know that you're serving yourself by calming your own nervous system, reducing stress and anxiety, simply by bringing awareness to your breath. Tune into the sound of your breath. Notice how much you can lengthen when you breathe with intention. Continue to breathe in this way. Know that legs up the wall is a great alternative to Shavasana. So anytime we're at the completion of our practice and we come into our relaxation time and our traditional Shavasana, you can always take legs up the wall as an option if you'd like to finish your practice with a gentle inversion. Now to come out, bend your knees one at a time. Once both knees are bent, feel the soles of your feet at the wall. And gently roll over onto one side. And then when you're ready, press yourself up so that you can come onto your seat. So we'll find our way back onto the mat. As you come onto the mat, take your blanket with you. Take a block with you. This just depends on how you want to sit. Now we are finished going through our more gentle inversions. So for now, we're going to talk about how we can progress. Yoga is a practice. It's not only a physical practice. The physical part is just one component of yoga. Yoga goes much deeper. It's a style of living. There are internal, external practices. For some people, there's veganism, there's breath work, there's meditation. There are lots of different components to yoga. Specifically talking now about the physical practice known as the asana, yoga asanas. We want to progress in this practice. So when we start going upside down, we don't want to go immediately into a handstand or a headstand. We want to start with something more gentle, like legs up the wall, or forward fold, or downward facing dog. These are all really great ways to start the inversion process and to start in a really gentle way and let our body get used to that before we go to more intermediate and advanced options. Now, for those of you that feel really comfortable with everything that we just did, great, then you're ready to move forward. If you're ready to move forward, I've got a headstand tutorial that I'm happy to send to you. And that tutorial is about 8 minutes long, and it takes you through the process of how to get into headstand with 2 different options: supported headstand and tripod headstand. So that's a really great option if you're ready to go upside down, either in the free space or with the support of the wall. And all of that information is in that tutorial. So happy to send that to you if you're ready to progress. Please know that when you are starting your inversion practice, or anytime you're coming out of a more intermediate or advanced inversion, you always want to take a counter stretch by coming into child's pose or shavasana at the end of the inverted pose. You want to stay in these options, these counter poses, child's pose or shavasana, until the breath and the heartbeat is completely normal. So give yourself time during this process. Years ago, when I was in a yoga class, I saw someone decades older than me, and I was so impressed when she just went into a headstand in her practice, and I thought, I want to do that. So I started trying, and I started first up against the wall, and it was very difficult for me to get my hips above my head. But I just kept trying every day, and eventually, with muscle memory, my hips went over my head, and I was able to start my headstand practice. So be patient with yourself. It takes time. You really need to commit to it and do it in a way where you're applying steps so that you're safe in your alignment and in your practice, so that you can have success with your inversions. Moving beyond intermediate postures like supported headstand, you can move on to more advanced options like forearm stand and maybe even handstand. But please take your time as you progress in your practice. Let me know at any point if there's anything that I can help you with, any tips that you'd like to know. And just remember, yoga is a never-ending practice. We never really get to the end. There are always new postures. Each day our body feels different. What our bodies can do today, maybe we can't do tomorrow, or maybe we couldn't do yesterday. Every day is different. It has a lot to do with what's in our mind and what's in our heart. So give yourself a break and just keep trying, keep practicing. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me today. Namaste.